Does she know I get people pregnant? Like I do that?
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We're here to discuss the latest episode of Love in Paradise. In this episode, they really dug into three of the couples. They didn't even address Alex and Adriano, so we should get to it as well. Let's start with Luke and Madeleine. Madeleine is still pissed at the prenup, but she's trying to make the best of their time because homeboy only has like a week left in Colombia. So she's trying to get him ready for a night out. She's just not impressed with him. She's not impressed with his outfit choices. She's dreading taking him out because she calls him a gringo. They're at this like bar place and she's trying to teach him how to dance salsa and a few things. He's struggling, but I think in comparison, he's always going to look like he's struggling because she was a competitive salsa dancer. Yay for her, but because of that, her patience is a little low on him. That's the first observation. Second observation, they were the only people dancing and they were like right in the middle of the spot. Everyone kept staring at them. I'm sure the camera crew didn't help the situation, but the reactions were hilarious. At one point, some guy just stepped in because Luke was really struggling and started dancing with Madeleine, started teaching Luke a few moves, and eventually he kind of got the hang of it. The moment is ruined though because as you've seen, Madeleine has like these big claws, these big acrylic nails, and at one point Luke is trying to give her a turn and he snaps one of them. If you have had acrylics, you know how painful that is. And Madeleine is a teenager, so she's acting as such. She's like, Luke, I always tell you to be careful with my nails. When are you gonna learn? And again, we see their aggressive physicality, kind of like we saw them at the airport where they just play fight a little too much. He lightly pushes her and she shoves him so hard that the mic picked it up. So, and we see them again do that later on, and it's just, she's so tiny, she could actually get hurt if they keep play fighting like that. But the next time we see these two, they are getting ready for a little vacation to Guatape. But wasn't he broke? Isn't he living off of his 401k? Why are they taking a vacation right now? I'm hoping for their sake that this is one of those things that production pays for. But what Luke says is that it's the most affordable option. They're going glamping. It's actually the place where they got engaged. Place does look stunning and romantic, but you guys, it looks very similar to that place in Panama. Do you guys remember that first vacation where Jasmine and Gino went and it went to shit because that's when she found out he was sending pictures to his ex, where they had that screenshot of the toothbrush he gifted her on the ground? It was so dramatic. But that's exactly what I thought of when I saw this place. And you know, I wasn't too far off thinking that because although this is a beautiful place, it's definitely going to bring them drama. Luke shares with us that his friend Brian texted him like something cryptic like, oh, I have something to tell you about Madeleine, but I'll tell you in person. And Luke is shook because this isn't the first time that there have been some kind of rumor about Madeleine. Apparently 6 months ago, there was a rumor that she was hooking up with some guy. So while he, let that one go, he's like, why do things keep coming up? And again, the friend that told him about that rumor was Brian. Brian is also the friend that suggested the prenup. And Brian is also on the way to Guatape with his wife. And Madeleine obviously has some beef with him. And she's like, I'm going to confront him about it because why is he putting those little ideas in your head? Listen, we all give our friends advice. I think Luke messed up in even telling Madeleine that came from Brian. If he really wanted to have a prenup, he should have just stood by it without throwing someone else in the mix. It's messy. And again, Madeleine is rehashing the fact that she feels like it's offensive that he would want or suggest a prenup because she's like, I've shown you all types of loyalty. I help you all the time. And Luke is just puzzled by her reaction. And I know that everyone has mixed reactions to prenups, and usually there's talks about it for months. He had just told her that information. Up till now, they had been in a relationship, they had been engaged, and there was no talk ever of a prenup. He just threw it onto her a few days ago, and he's expecting her to just be over it, to just fully understand. This is brand new information. And so he's confused because he doesn't find her reasonable. But it's funny because I feel like out of the two of them, she has the most reason. Well, of course, with the exception of the whole wedding venue fiasco, I say that she has the most reason because in this conversation, he's really trying to lay in a little bit of guilt. He's like, I really need you to take this leap of faith with me in signing this prenup, and then I will continue making sacrifices for our relationship. And she's like, not so fast. Sacrifices? And he's like, yeah, because I quit my job, I sold this, I sold that. And she's like, and first of all, he did not quit his job. He got fired. And again, these were choices that he made. She doesn't know the rules of his job in America. He didn't spell things out. There's a lot that happened that he didn't tell her until he got to Colombia. So she was in the dark about a lot. But what she tells him is, you've made all those choices. I didn't make you do anything. So how is it a sacrifice if I didn't make you? Own your decisions. And she gagged him with that one. I can see it that she would be like, oh, babe, I miss you. When am I going to see you? She probably said things like that. But if he would have been like, babe, actually with my job, I have X amount of days as PTO, so we have to work around that. She would have understood that because she would have had the framework. But if you're just saying no or I can't without a reason, she's going to keep being like, babe, when am I going to see you? One, because that's just when people are in a long distance, it's hard. Two, she's your teenage bride. She's not going to think like a 30-year-old person. Work with what you got, problematic as it is. But what stood out for me is that even through the anger of it and him trying to, push all this guilt, she's like, don't get me wrong, I value what you do for us. It's like, haven't I proved that? Like, I help you with everything. And I wish that she would expand a little more on how she helps him, because it could be true, but we just don't know how, aside from that bad attempt of her cleaning that rental. But when she says that, he's like, well, I feel like you helped me because I'm the best opportunity you got. And that only adds more insult to her injury because she's like, opportunity? You think I view our relationship as an opportunity? And with that situation, I'm not really sure how I feel, right? Because as opportunity, I don't believe that every person wants to come to America. I think an opportunity is that she did like the lifestyle that he gifted her, right? In their first episode, she talked about all the things that he funds, and she was saying it proudly. She's like, yeah, I live in a nice luxury building, I got my boobs done, I have a rare dog, I have all these cool clothes, we go on cool vacations. That is something that she enjoys in his relationship. But one could argue that she could have all of that with someone that has an actual job, because Luke no longer has one and she's still with him. I don't think that she's there just for what he can give her. She's 19. She does look very in love with Luke. I think the money was a nice cherry on top, but I think that she really is invested in it now. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's just an opportunity thing. I would love to know what you guys think about that. Yeah, but to end the segment with them, as always, there is no resolution in sight. They leave things open-ended. And next week, we're going to get to see Brian tell her the rumors that he heard right to her face. So it should be juicy. But yeah, let's move on to Shawn and Alliya. So we see them the next morning after her birthday celebration / surprise proposal. Alliya is on cloud nine. She says that she's always admired the marriages in her family, but she just didn't think that it would ever happen for her. So I love that for her. On this day, she's getting ready because she's going to bring Shawn and her bestie Jackie to this rainforest that she really loves. She's determined to show them Brazil. And one thing about Jackie is that she's very protective about Alliya, and she wastes no time in questioning Shawn about what's next. So Jackie's like, okay, so are you guys doing the K1? You're going to come to America? Where would you live in America? So Alliya's excited about all of this, but she's also nervous because she's 25. She's never known anything other than Brazil. It's obviously going to be a big adjustment. But also she's worried about the dynamic with Shawn because they have been long distance the whole time they've been in a relationship. And every time he's in Brazil, it's vacation time, right? But when he's in America, Shawn is working a lot. And so when Alliya comes to America, while she may be in the same country as Shawn, she's not going to have that access that she has to him like she has in Brazil. There's going to be times that she's going to go hours without seeing him, and that's not something that she's used to, and it's definitely going to be an adjustment for sure. Jackie's next question is, so are you thinking about a prenup? And Shawn is like, well, I haven't really thought of everything because we just got engaged. But yeah, I would have to have a prenup because I have 3 sons and I have to protect them. I totally think that he should have a prenup to protect them and also protect Alliya. But also, I'm like, what is that relationship like with your sons? Because I'm assuming these are the ones that he had when he was married to his ex-wife. So I'm like, what's the tea there? Probably none of our business, but I was curious. And I really like Jackie because while the questions may be a little too touchy, she knows that Alliya really hasn't been out in the world. She doesn't have much experience, and she wouldn't know to look out for certain things. And so it's great that she has friends that are looking out for her in this way. But Shawn definitely feels a way. You can tell that he is annoyed, and the way he says things like, well, I'm not thinking about a will and I'm not thinking about a prenup 24 hours after I just got engaged. And I don't think Jackie was asking him these things to attack him. I think that she was just trying to make sure that they initiate those conversations when she's not there. But he was not a fan. They get to the location for the rainforest. They have to do a little hike. This rainforest is in Rio de Janeiro. I called it a rainforest. It's a waterfall. The waterfall is gorgeous, and I love that they immediately get to action. They're like, we need to get the pics. And so Alliya is just giving you all these gorgeous, sexy poses. She looks like a dream with this backdrop. What a queen. And so, yeah, and so afterwards they're kikiing about the photos that just happened. And Shawn is like, wow, I'm your fiance, I'm your makeup artist, I'm your hairstylist, I'm your creative director. And Jackie's just like, yeah, you're everything. I'm just here as the third wheel. And that's when Shawn starts being passive aggressive and is like, no, 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 you're the advisor, obviously. You're asking about what I'm going to do when I die and all these things. It's very clear that he is angry, but trying to like laugh it off. And you can see Alliya and Jackie just like, okay. And I love that Jackie just doesn't show too much expression. She's just like, interesting. And Shawn is like, to Alliya, he's like, these are things that I think that you and I should be talking about. And Jackie doesn't miss a beat. And she just looks at Alliya and she goes, do you feel comfortable discussing those things with him? I think it's important to note before we get to Alliya's answer that to the producers, Alliya said that she's very grateful that Jackie asked those questions because she wouldn't know how to, one, ask those questions or how to even initiate those kind of conversations. So she's really grateful because she feels protected. And so when Alliya finally answers the question to Shawn, she goes, my fear is control. I'm going to be fully dependent on you for everything. I don't want to lose control of my life and being codependent with you. And the reason she brings that up is because she didn't have control of her life for most of it. Her grandparents who raised her were really strict, and she just got control of her narrative, of her identity, of her actions, of everything, of her expression. And so she doesn't want to lose that. And in general, we've seen with all couples that do the K1 that control is a big thing that keeps coming up, you know, because you really do feel like you're at someone's mercy. And I don't think that when she was saying those things, she was implying that Shawn has been controlling. It's just the fear of it changing when she gets to America. And Shawn even, you know, like he tells her in that moment, he's like, I take all your input into consideration. If you say you don't want to do something, we don't do it. I've shown you that. And Alliya agrees with him. It's just the trauma that is, you know, creating some doubt. So that's where we leave off with them. Um, Again, I mean, I'm glad that Jackie planted those seeds. I would love to know what you guys think. If you think that she crossed the line, or if you think that there was a better way to go about it. I don't know how I feel about Shawn and Alliya right now, because I really do like them as a couple, and I've always said that if they don't make it as a couple, they would make it as friends. I think my thing with Shawn is he still seems like on the fence, and I wish that he hadn't proposed if he wasn't more grounded in his decision, but that's just me. Let's move on to the next couple, the last one, Kyle and Anika. So the day has arrived where Anika is presenting her friend to Kyle. And you guys remember her friend came all the way from Germany to meet this man. What a waste of a trip. Apparently Kyle is leaving in 3 days. So it's down to the wire for Anika to decide how she feels about the situation. Kyle arrives, you guys. It's not even 2 minutes into the conversation, at least the way it was filmed. Not even 2 minutes. That this man is like, oh, you're from Germany? I have a few kids in Germany. And Anika's face, the way that it dropped, because she's like, is he serious right now? They're both silent and making faces awkwardly. And he's like, yeah, does she know? Does she know that I get women pregnant? Does she know? I was like, is he trying to recruit her friend? Like, why is this necessary? And Annie says what I'm thinking. This man volunteered this information unprovoked. It was unnecessary. And so the friend is like, I can see the love in your eyes when you talk about what you do. And he took it as a compliment, but in this moment, I think that it was shade. And so the friend, I forgot her name, sorry guys, but the friend is like, so I understand that you have to do this, but you're in a relationship with Annie, so why not do the clinical route? Why not go to a clinic? And he's like, well, like, you know, it's just too clinical, and I don't really get to see where it's going. I don't get to have the connection. You guys, my stomach is turning. He's like, you know, I just feel like women are counting on me. And so Annie begins to kind of like speak up for herself, but then takes it back in the same sentence. She's like, you know, if it hurts me that you have to do this, but I also see how much you love it. And basically, like, she's talking about it almost like she feels selfish in like making him choose between her and something that he loves. Annie, it is not selfish to not want your boyfriend to screw women in every continent. Way that she's like gaslighting herself into making this feel okay is disturbing. So they're both questioning him, just like the fact that he's never really been in a relationship. Like, why? And he doesn't really answer the question. He's just like, you know, I'm really working on myself for Annie to be right for her. And then he awkwardly like pats her arm and leg, and her friend is an enabler because one, he didn't answer the questions, and two, she sees him pat her, and so she's like, see, affection. It's what you wanted, affection. This is crumbs. It's so weird. But eventually they leave her, they pay her dust, and they go to his apartment, and it is crusty, okay? You can tell that Kyle, he doesn't care to impress Annie. He really just wants her to like adjust to his crusty lifestyle. And she's a bit desperate that she's just like, Because they walk in, the bed is not even made. It looks like the sheets are all bunched up. He has piles of clothing. You don't even know what's dirty, what's clean. There's a garbage can on the kitchen table. The lighting looks clinical. For someone that doesn't like clinics, no mood lighting in sight. And Annie's just like, like, this woman is working overtime to rationalize his existence, okay? And she sits on the couch and he's being extra handsy. And while this is something that she has said that she's wanted, you can tell that she's just like, don't distract me. We need to talk about important things. But that conversation doesn't get very far because he's a creepy Martian, okay? He's holding her hands and he's like, wow, we're in a real romantic relationship. This is magical. So Annie is still stunned that he's never been in a real relationship. And at this point, I'm like, girl, it is obvious why he hasn't been in a real relationship. But obviously she does not see what we see because she's still there. And so he's love bombing her a bit. He's like, I was saving myself for you. And she's like, don't say that. Don't say that. Why have you chosen donations over being in a real relationship? Like, why? And he basically gives her a big sob story about how it's been hard to be in relationships and how he started donating when he was 22 because he was afraid that he would never have children of his own. So he's talking about it like it's a trauma response, and I have a hard time believing that. But Annie ate the story up. It's just weird because she's really trying to make this creepy robot into like a real man. He's like, tonight is about you. Do I have consent to cuddle you? And Annie's like, I would like it to be spontaneous. I would like to choose when we do that. And I want to talk about consent is very important. That's a no-brainer. It's very important. But like, there's ways to also pick up cues when it comes to small things, like small affection things, like cuddling or holding hands. I think that what Kyle is doing is a bit performative. And yeah, it just doesn't feel genuine. And it doesn't have the impact that he thinks it does. But Annie is still just drinking the Kool-Aid, and we see them head off to his bedroom. And she's like, we're just going to cuddle. We're not going to do anything else. And I don't believe that. The fact that she hasn't ran away yet lets me know that she's just as crazy as him, just in a different font. And what we saw in a previous trailer was that she had like a pregnancy test in hand. So I'm wondering if they're going to have a scare or if they're going to actually be pregnant. She definitely is going to be intimate with him this night. I know it. But I would love to know what you guys think about everything. It's getting a little chaotic. Next week we'll get to see Adriano and Alex again. It looks like he's going to try to get her to pursue a threesome at the beach. It's crazy. So I look forward to talking about that with you. Thank you so much for watching, you guys, and I will see you in the next one.